Hey crafters, it's Leo with Dreaming Tree, and today we're putting together our pumpkin charm tote. It's a beautiful little handbag shaped like an autumn pumpkin. The design looks very dimensional, but it comes together with just a little bit of work. We came up with a clever way to make it pop without having to spend an eternity. We've adorned it with delicate flowers, making it perfect for so many gift-giving occasions. Think birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, or even as a charming hostess gift during the fall season. Let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start off with these two pieces to form the main structure. I went with the perforated score lines just because it's, I don't know, you don't really see it and it was less work. So we'll get these two pieces connected to form one continuous. And then, yeah, like I said, we devised this in a way where the dimensional aspect of it is very easy. You'll see what I mean here in a second. Just line this up. You want the top to be nice and flush. Okay, we'll press that down. Go ahead, fold it over onto itself. And give that another press. Okay, there we go. So now it is continuous. You see little creases here. That's in case you want to squeeze the handles together, or maybe even tie a bow at the top. I'll give you that option. And we'll close it up. So this forms the main compartment of the handbag. I'll spread that glue out, get it nice and thin. And I think this is just going to work like this. No, it's not. And we got to kind of just do it in the air, which is fine. Okay, line that up. I'm looking at the top to make sure that that's nice and flush. And lining it up as accurately as possible. You can then take it and fold it on this side. That's not going to fold flat, but at least you can press down and use your table. Mine is a little off here. Hopefully it's not. There we go. It's still kind of tacky and not fully set. So I dodged a bullet there. There we go. Okay. So there is the main structure mostly. Let's move the bottom out of the way. We're going to close this up now. And we need to apply glue to all three of these tabs. It's okay if you go a little bit heavier here. We've got a lot of area to cover. We don't want it to dry prematurely as we apply to the other tabs. I'm going to take this and spread that out nicely. Right out to the very edge. Like so. Okay, clean those fingers off and go ahead and close this up. Line it up with this side here, the side opposite of where it was already hinged. Get that as precise as you can, and then just run your finger along the perimeter on the remaining sides to close that up. Should be nice and seamless for you. You can flip it over then and press down on the tabs from the inside. There we go. Okay, so you can see it kind of folds in a little bit, just enough for the handles to come together. Okay. All right, now we have this little piece here with the little L on it. That is a liner. What I want you to do is just throw a little bit of glue onto the bottom there, just whatever, just get it in there so it sticks, and press that down. Cleans it up nicely, also makes it a little thicker. Okay, so the next thing we can do here, you'll notice that we have a series, we have 4 of these, and this is to reinforce the handle and just kind of reinforce the whole thing along the sides as well, make it, just feel strong. And we're going to glue these back to, like right on top of each other, essentially. And then we're going to pop them inside of our handbag. And we may actually put the wooden handle element on here before we actually place it in the handbag. And what you can do is you can glue them like this so that there's texture on both sides. It's not going to harm anything. This thing is symmetrical. Okay. Just make sure you get it lined up as accurately as possible. So there's one set. We'll do the same thing with the other one. And we opted to use a wooden handle, which is, I mean, if they had some sort of a viney looking handle, that would have been even more appropriate. But it does sort of look like an extension of the pumpkin in a way, which I thought was cool. Like the stem, I guess. There we go, line that up and press that down. And I did cut out 2 different tones of wood for this, and I kind of laid it out. This one's a little lighter, this one's darker. I liked the darker one in this case. Okay, and we're gonna glue this on like so. Doesn't matter which side is which, as long as when we put this inside of the main structure, we have the wooden part facing out. Just need to make sure we pay attention to that. We don't want that wooden part inside. Okay, just pop that right on there. Make sure it's lined up correctly. Should basically be flush and straight on with this line here. Okay, I'm gonna flip that around and press down. Like that. Looks good. And we'll do the same thing with the other one. And just get that ready, and then you can actually just pop that right into the structure now before we start turning the handbag into a pumpkin. And technically, I guess what we have now could work as a handbag in its own right. I've seen some handbags shaped like that. Okay. You might need to just nudge it down a little bit for it to fit properly. Sometimes with shapes like this, it may seem like you got it right, but it actually needs to be rotated ever so slightly. There we go. I'll press down from the other side. Okay. All right, so that looks good. Now, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put this in kind of sideways, and it's gonna go like that. Okay, so what we can do, and what we really wanna try to make sure we do, is get enough glue at the top. That's gotta be like the strongest part of it, right there at the top. Try not to get any glue on the actual wood. Okay, when we pop this in here, you gotta kind of do it at an angle, and then bring it in towards you. You should just let it hit the table, bring it down as far as it'll go, and then just push down. You can push down from the inside to help it stick. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. We'll do the same thing with this one. Just remember to put the glue on this side, the side that has the wood on it. And remember that that needs to be facing out. This thing will be nice and sturdy. Okay, again, kind of put it in at an angle and bring it towards you as far as it'll go. Let it hit the surface, your table. You can actually push it down towards the bottom of it as you're pushing down on it. And there you go, and you can see here, once we kind of can actually fold it together a little bit. Okay, so the handles are in place. We'll let those set nicely. And the front and the back are gonna go on the same exact way. The only difference with the front and back is that, so these panels here, some of them have a bunch of weird looking little markers on there, and that's to help you with the placement of the flowers. Okay, but the first thing we need to do is find this piece that's labeled L. Okay, and what we can do before we actually place it on the handbag is take these two pieces that are separated and glue them on. This is gonna kind of create a thicker version of this. This is also split. Now I made this at the default size. If you shrink this bag, you should be able to take these and emboss the panels And this would be the only one that you probably couldn't emboss, no matter how much you shrank it. And well, I mean, that's not true. You could shrink this so much that that part would fit, but it probably wouldn't be very functional. Okay, so that's why we have the split here. But I'm not embossing this. I want the ink to do the work. But if you shrink this by a certain percentage, I'd say about 15% or so, don't quote me on that, you'll be able to emboss these panels. Okay, now the front and the back of this are going to go together the same exact way. So I'm probably only going to do one side with you. Do the front. There we go. And that seam will be hidden by the rest of this in just a moment here. Okay, so we have our first pumpkin. This is going to be my front, and you can see how this is going to go on. It's going to go on like this, so it should be flush on the bottom, and then the edge here and edge here should line up with these two little points, like this. Okay, which means that we're actually going to be putting glue on this entire surface to get that piece on. And as I mentioned, the same process applies to the back. This part of the assembly for the actual pumpkin part, the dimensional pumpkin part of the project, is identical front and back. So you're just going to repeat this on the back. The only difference with the front is that we have flowers that go on it. Okay, so I'm actually standing this up using my table as sort of a guide for the bottom of it, making sure that I got it centered here. And once that glue has somewhat of a hold on it, I'll just drop it onto my surface and press down from the inside to help the rest of that get a grip. Okay, now what I would suggest doing, and actually I may as well just do this now. I feel like I'm going to have to anyway. We'll do the back here. I did not ink the back because you're not going to see it in the photos anyway, and I needed to get my work done today. Saved me a little bit of time. I'm going to get this glued on. I want to be able to use my table to press this down. If I have the dimensional pieces on the front of this, I'm worried that I might ruin something. So I'm just going to get this piece on right now and just get it out of the way. And then we'll start working on the dimensional parts of this. And then all that's left is the little flowers, which is super simple. There's the flowers are relatively novice, I guess you could say. They're not really anything to be concerned with. Okay, so there's that. And just like we did on the front, we'll flip this around and apply our glue to this entire structure. Especially up here. And I'm going to stand this up, take this piece. It's shorter at the top, obviously. Let my table guide the alignment of the bottom, and then just get the top aligned properly. That looks great. I'll go ahead and put that on my surface and press down from the inside. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there we go. All right, next, what we're going to do is start putting together the dimensional part of this, which is here. Okay, now what I'm going to advise against is any sort of training. I don't want you to train anything. Okay, and what we're going to do, make sure that these are nice and folded. We're actually going to just put glue. You can see there's the letter T here and a B here, T for top, a B for bottom. We're just going to glue this. You'll see a little marker here and here. We're going to try to center this like this, and then you'll probably saying to yourself, well, it's a little too long. Well, it's supposed to be, and it's supposed to bow a little bit. So you see what's happening. We're creating that dimension because the paper is just a tiny bit too long, and it has to bend. Brilliant. Okay, so let's do that real quick. Let's get our glue on these tabs. And I'm going to just probably try to do both of them at the same time. Actually, you know what? You don't have to. Let's just do one at a time, just so that we're precise with this. Okay, you can see that I inked this. And use the little markers there. You can actually make sure it's flush at the top. And just for now, press it down flat. Make sure it's level, and then take a look at the bottom. Make sure that bottom will end up, or at least give you the opportunity to be level, and it is. I can put that on my surface and press down again right at that top, like so. Okay, now is where we make it dimensional. We'll go ahead and flip this back like so. The rest of this, we're not going to be able to use our table because we're going to risk potentially creasing or destroying the dimensional feature of this first layer. So we've got our glue there. Now I'm going to hold it about right here, and it should just kind of fall into place. Okay, like so. Just like that. And what might help here, to help the rest of this sort of make better contact. Let's see how that looks. I think mine's a little cockeyed. I didn't get it on very straight. It's okay. Let's try that again. There we go. You can actually just push down right here just for a second so that it sits, and then when you let it go, it'll pop back out. Okay, there we go. So that's layer one, that's the widest. And then here is the second layer. This one obviously goes on top to continue that sort of rib look. Okay, and we'll do the same thing. I'm gonna take and apply glue to the one with the letter T. Make sure T is on top, otherwise you're gonna have a wonky looking pumpkin. Okay, nice and thin so it doesn't take forever to dry. And just like we did before, there are a set of little markers here to help you with the positioning of this first section. Make sure it's flush up at the top, get it centered between those little markers as accurately as you can. Should be flush with the top. And press that down. Okay, there we go. And we'll do the same thing at the bottom here. Get our glue on the B. Spread that glue out. Could probably go thinner than that. And just kind of hold it, tuck that under, hold it from like right here. And again, try to center it. You want it to be flush on the bottom. And you can certainly just push it down flat right here, just on the tab part. Don't go too crazy pushing down over here. We want it to pop back out like that. Look at that. Cool, man. As Bart Simpson would say. And the last one here, make sure you've got the T on top, B on the bottom. And then we just have to put some flowers on this thing. It's gonna be cool. And again, I didn't pre-train this. I want the paper to just naturally, you know, kind of bend and bow how it was designed to, I guess. Okay, where's the T? There's the T. Let's throw some glue on that. Thin that out nicely, tuck that behind. Again, you have markers there to help you with the centering. Okay, get that nice and centered. Make sure it's flush at the top. Nice and straight as well. Give it a kind of visual appraisal. Make sure that it in fact looks symmetrical going down. And kind of feel this out too. That looks great. Okay, so that top should be intact now. We'll take and apply some glue to our B. Okay, and just like we did, I'm gonna hold it, tuck that under, I'm gonna hold it about here, and just get that as centered as you can, and flush as well. There we go, and just press down right on that tab. Don't go up too high. There we go. Just keep holding. And there it is. Isn't that cool? Yeah, so it's gonna look, once we get the little flower on there, you're gonna do the same thing on the back, But you can see how we're utilizing shadows and highlights to create the illusion of it being dimensional without all that extra work. And even from the side, it looks cool. Like, it's not that bad. I love it. It's quick. All right, so we're gonna start. There's two sections of flowers, one for the left, one for the right. And we're gonna kind of go backwards here. You'll notice that on this piece, there are 4 little marks in the shape of a square or a circle. It's like that. Okay, that's number 4. And you want this kind of leaning this way. And what you can do to jazz this up a little bit is just take these leaves and just place the tip of the leaf between your finger and the dowel and just curl it up towards you or away from you, whatever you want to do, to kind of give it a little bit of life so it's not so flat. And you can see how the shadows and the highlights kind of play with it and make it more interesting. Okay, so that's number 4. Number 3 is this, and it's 3 dashes straight up and down. And I want you to glue this on top of the 4 with those 3 dashes straight up and down. You don't want them sideways, and that will automatically help you figure out the, the layout. And with this too, you can go ahead and place each of the leaves between your finger and the dowel. And I'm just gonna run the dowel through like so, just to give them a little bit of life. So let's grab our glue, and we're gonna put a little bit of glue on 4 and take 3 and pop it right on there, like so. Okay, there we go. Had a little bit of glue shoot out in the little cutouts there. It's kind of interesting, which is cool. All right, next we're gonna take number 2. Okay, and again, you wanna put that on so that it's nice and straight. Okay, and I am also, actually, you know what? I'm not going to train these. Let's do this first. Let's leave that off to the side for a second. What we want to do here is we're going to glue number 1 on top of number 2, because you can see that this green needs to go right on top of that red. Okay, and there's a foolproof way of doing this. Let's glue just the circle in place first with that 1 straight up and down. And obviously, you want to make sure we're not putting any glue on the little skinny green parts just yet, but we are just trying to make sure that they line up as we glue the circles together. Okay, so do whatever you got to do as far as rotation or placement so that they're sitting on top of each other. Okay, so that's good. And here's where we're going to grab just a few pieces of scrap paper. When I have a bunch of scrap, I go through and I just chop it up. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this nice and thin, like so. And then what you can do is literally just take it and just dab it onto the back of this green section. And then I would individually press down on each little section to get it to stick accurately. Just like that. Okay. We'll do the same thing with the other section, and then we'll add this to the mix there. Just move that out of the way briefly. Just dab it with a little bit of glue on your scrap. I always throw this out when I'm done, just so it doesn't end up getting stuck somewhere, like to the project or a piece of clothing or a shoe. Okay, there we go. Perfect. All right, so now this little guy here, you can take and kind of curl him a little bit, give him a little bit of life. And I wouldn't worry so much about these. If you want, you can kind of bend them with your finger a little bit. I would not run it through the dowel, as you risk separating the 2 layers, but you can certainly bend them out a little bit so they're not so flat. There we go. Okay, this guy's going to be pointing up at about the 11 o'clock. So when we pop this on here, just make sure the number 1 is straight up and down. Okay, you can throw a little bit of glue on the back of 2. 2 and 1 are now united. Make sure it's nice and straight up and down onto that previous layer, just like that. I can bring this up. There we go. Okay. And if you're not happy with the amount of separation you have here, you can certainly train it a little bit more. That's fine. All right, so that part of it's done. Next, we're going to build a little flower. It's 2 layers. There's a larger and a smaller. So at the base of the petal, lift it up about 45 degrees, run it through, And you can see what that does, it curls it. We'll do the same thing with this one. And these are simple flowers, very simple. And with this, I actually don't mind the white core. It doesn't bother me. So we'll put a little drop of glue in the center of the larger one, take the smaller one, and don't forget to offset it. So rotate it a little bit so that the petals are not sitting right on top of each other. You want it to be as full looking as possible. Make sure it's also nice and centered. Give that a press. There we go. And then for the middle, we have a larger yellow patterned circle. Whoa, good thing that fell the way it did. Get that centered. Is that centered, Leo? I don't know. Doesn't look like it. There it is. And then we have a little glitter element that goes in the center of this guy. Just try to make sure it's even all the way around. Press that down. And finally, if you want, you can lift these petals up a little bit more, create separation between the two layers, make it look more full. Over time, they may flatten out a bit, but that's okay. And we'll go ahead and apply some glue there. And this thing's symmetrical, so it doesn't really matter, just so long as you get it centered. That's all that really matters. Okay, and there's that. So now if we take a look at our handbag, there's a series of little markers here, and let me see if we can figure out, yeah, so you see these funky looking guys here? There's like 3 little U shapes. That's the little valleys here. Okay, and that's just to kind of help you get a general idea of where that's gonna go. Okay, so this is actually, it's gonna go right about there. Yeah, just use those as your guide. I don't think we need to do anything else. You can hot glue that, or just, I wouldn't do anything that is gonna require you to push too hard on it, because you wanna maintain the nice roundness of the pumpkin. Let me make sure this thing turned on. It did. I might need another glue stick here in a minute, but I'm gonna hot glue that once my hot glue gun is warmed up. But let's leave that alone for a second, and let's take the other flower here, and just like we did before, we're gonna kind of work backwards. And this guy, you want the tip of this pointing at about the 2 o'clock. And then take a look at the 4 on here, and you'll see that there's a line. It's like a square. If you're looking at it this way, it's a square. If you look at it this way, it looks like a diamond. So keep it at the tip here about the 2 o'clock. Next, let's grab the number 3. And this 3 is going out over to about the 3 o'clock. And we can take and fold these back and forward towards you or away from you, however you want to do it. Throw a little bit of glue on the back of our 3. Make sure that it's straight up and down. And glue that in place. Okay. Now this little guy here, I forgot to, you can train him too. I'm going to train this one out, away. And maybe this one as well. Training it down. You can always lift this up a little bit. Okay, so there's our 3. Now let's take our 1 and 2. We're going to glue 1 on top of 2, and we're going to focus on just the circle, just like we did before. And when we put this down, let's make sure these green sections line up with the red. Pardon my head. That looks pretty good. Let's take a look. Yep, looks great, sorry. All right, and then this is where we'll grab our scrap, throw a little glue on there, and just paint it on the underside of these green sections, just by dabbing, especially up towards the tip, to get it to sit. Okay, and as I mentioned before, you may want to just kind of individually press these into place, as they do tend to have a mind of their own. There we go. Is that making contact, or what's going on here? There we go. Give that a good solid press. Okay, so again, you can gently with your fingers while it's still setting, kind of just, you know, bend them a little bit. this fella here. I'm gonna take these petals and shape them however I want. This one wants to come out. This one wants to go hide. Okay, and there's your one. These set of berries are gonna be coming down at about the, I'd say 4 o'clock. So you want the one going this way. Let's go ahead and throw some glue on here. And I want the one straight up and down. Those berries. Is that right? Hold on a second. Can't even see. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, let me do that one more time. Just want to make sure I'm putting this on straight. There we go. Okay, I see it better now. There we go. That's nice. Okay, perfect. And just like we did before, now since this flower is smaller, when you have smaller petals, it's okay to use a dowel that is has a thinner diameter. But I don't remember which one I used last, but that's fine. Okay. Got my hot glue gun warming up so that I can put these in their final destination here in just a moment. This one you can also take and from the tip curl it towards you to get a more pronounced sort of fold, because running the dowel through on a smaller petal like this may not give you the results you're looking for. So I'm going to curl this a little more. I want these to really pop just from the tip. Okay, there we go. All right, so just like we did the first time, a little bit of glue on the large one, take the small one and pop it right in the center, but offset it so that the petals have space. There you go, that looks nice. And yeah, like I said, I really don't mind the white core on that. It's actually a nice contrast that makes this kind of more interesting. So some days, depending on the project, I just want to curse the white core. But in this case, I think it really adds to it. And let's finish off the first circle with the smaller glitter circle, like so. And a little bit of glue on this green part. Get that centered. Finish that off. There we go. Okay, let's start by just getting this glue down first. Now, one other thing too is you have these 3 little strips. These are little tendrils. So what you can do is literally just take this and wrap it around a dowel. And the closer you keep them together, the less, the shorter you're going to make it. Just keep wrapping it around a dowel, and the thinner the dowel, the more loopy it's going to look. Okay, and then you can kind of stretch it out, and you've got a little tendril. What I would suggest doing is just kind of, I don't know, you can glue it to wherever you want, really. What I'll probably end up doing is, let's see here. Yeah, we can always tuck those in later by just putting a little dab of hot glue on it. I don't want to put those on just yet because I'm worried we're not going to be able to see them very well. All right, so next step here is flipping this over. Like I said, I'm gonna use hot glue here so I don't have to push real hard onto the actual pumpkin and ruin its dimensional properties. And remember those three little markers there are for this guy here. And it's gonna go like that, just like that. Let that hot glue take. Give it a second. Don't push too hard. Again, we don't want to ruin the dimensional part of the bag here. So we're being very gentle with this. And that hot glue will take in just a second. There we go. Look at that. Okay. And now we'll take this guy, and this green part's going to go behind here. And now I see it. Okay. Yeah, it goes like that. Okay. Just like that. I just want to tuck that in basically like this. And we're gonna put some hot glue just on this big circle here, just like we did before. You can be kind of generous with it. And we'll flip this around. The maple leaf is going right about there. Kind of squeeze that in a little bit. And just make sure it's making contact with the bag where we put that hot glue. We've got that little bit of brown there sticking out, and that looks great. Maybe bring it down just a tad. Cool. Maybe even bring it out just a little bit, fill it in a little bit more, or fill it out, I should say. Cool, I love it. All right, cool. And then again, as I mentioned with the tendrils, totally optional, but I thought it was a nice touch. And so like, I think, you know, we can maybe put one here, something like that, in which case I'm just gonna take and put a little bit of hot glue on one side of it. I'm not even taking my hot glue off of the little holster here. I've got a tiny little bit of hot glue there, and maybe what I'll do is just pull back the flower a little bit, just making sure that it's holding on to something, and you can see how it just kind of hangs off there. Yeah, definitely don't do that. Don't wrap it onto itself. You want to just kind of wrap it down like this. And you can wrap it tight where each time you go around your medium, in my case a brush, you can leave a little bit of space between each wrap, or you can kind of get it nice and tight, and that will sort of change its properties as well. Okay, so this one looks like that. It's a little tighter, right? And let's see, where are we gonna put this one? Maybe this one's gonna be hanging down a little bit, so I'll throw a little bit of glue on one side of it. I had this glue gun that had a battery in it, and it was cordless, and I thought I loved it, but the battery lasted like 10 minutes, and then there were times where I needed it, and I had to charge it, and I'm just tired of all this rechargeable battery stuff. Okay, there's another little tendril hanging off, and then maybe we'll have one that's kind of coming up, but that's pretty much it. This is a cute little project, and I could totally see this as a gift for maybe a bride for her fall wedding. I mean, she's already gonna have all this beautiful stuff, but there's nothing quite like a handmade item like this out of paper. If you really, it'll get her attention even on a day like that where there's so much going on. I can guarantee you that. Okay, so one more little tendril here. You can shape it however you want. And I just kind of want this one to be like, you know, like this thing's having a bad hair day or something. We'll just pop it back there somewhere. One other thing you can do right here on the handle is get some ribbon and add a little bow maybe. Why not? You know, it could look cool. So I just put a little drop of hot glue on there, and I'm gonna pop this right back here behind this greenery. So you can't really see where it originated, but you can kind of see it popping up. Cute. And that's it. So that's gonna do it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please take a moment, hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. And if you make this or anything from our new bundle, I'd love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. There's a couple places where you can find us now. Of course, the original Dreaming Tree group on Facebook. Just do a search for Dreaming Tree Official. And also on Creative Fabrica's Clubhouses, where you can actually post a picture in the little discussion forum, which is super cool as well. So either way, again, all of our content is now available on Creative Fabrica with your All Access membership. If you don't have one yet, I invite you to join us. We would love to have you with us and supporting us over at our new home. And that's about it. So as I mentioned before, the fall winds are in the air finally. I'm excited for football and all that other good stuff. But most importantly, I look forward to crafting with you again in the future.